Hello, everyone. So the new Carcass record, Torn Arteries, was finally released. And as discussed previously on this channel, I felt that the two songs that they had chosen to preview this record with that they put out were pretty disappointing. One was kind of a lumbering mess, and the other one had a little bit of energy to it, but the riffs were kind of a little too cutesy to have anything going on beyond the tongue-in-cheek stuff that they are kind of have been known for the past like 2-3 decades. So obviously we shouldn't be expecting a return to form regarding any of their previous output. We should be looking forward to hopefully the next step in their evolution, as they're a band that's prone to evolution between recordings. But based on the songs that we were given and the EP that they released last year, which is most likely B-sides from this record, we kind of knew that the material was going to have that swan song vibe with a lot of guitar theatrics, and it for the most part was going to be toothless. So upon hearing the record, now from start to finish, I am inclined to agree. I would say that of their post-Heartwork material, this is probably the most engaging, but kind of for the wrong reasons. The songs are composed in a way where it's very piecemeal. There's good riffs with solid melodies, and then they'll be slammed up against something that has no relation at all in terms of tone, vibe, melody, tempo. All of it is just very just A and B. There's no continuity at all, no momentum at all. So this kind of goes along with my prediction for the record when I talked about the previous two songs they had released in a different video I'd made. That being said, I would rather listen to this than Surgical Steel. It feels like, even though the tempos are more relaxed, the material has a little more energy to it. It's a little bit more frenzied, kind of in a, I don't want to compare it to a great record, but Rust in Peace has that kind of frenzied vibe where it feels like it could come apart at any given moment, but is still controlled. This has a little bit of that. The overall sound in this, I would say, is more akin to like modern Megadeth than any kind of Carcass record you could think of, aside from maybe Surgical Steel and Swan Song. There's not a whole lot of teeth here. I guess where you can get any of the actual aggression lies in the vocals, because Jeff Walker always sounds great, and the lyrical aspects, which are always going to now have to deal with tongue-in-cheek type of gore shit, but it's really more cringeworthy than anything now. Like, titling a song Eleanor Rigor Mortis that's pretty forced, and as bad as the lyrics were on Swan Song, it almost seems that if they had chosen just basic ass shitty vague metal lyrics for this one that they did on Swan Song, it would be more comfortable with the music that's being presented. But as it stands right now, I guess I was thinking about it, and the best comparison I can make with this record would be like, I don't know if you guys remember this is like pre-YouTube stuff, but do you remember the Happy Tree Friends? It was like an adorable cartoon with a bunch of like fluffy animals that cut each other up, and it was immensely gory, but beforehand they kind of present you with this animation that is it's really comforting, and then it gets to like utter carnage. So this reminds me of that, where the music it's adorable. Like it just sounds cute, and that's not what you want out of Carcass. That's not what you want out of metal. It sounds like kitschy and cute, and that's the overall atmosphere you get when you have lyrics that are making pun after pun about death, while your music has like this vaguely Megadethy, Thin Lizzy blender action going on, where if you get like the nice sounding harmonized guitars that are usually in fifths, so it's as powerful as like the old melody in Heartwork, that first melody. So it wants to make you think of that kind of stuff, but at the same time they're settling into that dad rock vibe to the point where it's now beyond satire. Like, the band was always about satire, now it's a parody of a parody, and it is an engaging listen, mainly because the songs are so poorly put together that it'll take you by, just as you start falling asleep, it'll jerk you out of it. But it's pretty disappointing on the whole. There are some strong tracks. The first track, pretty strong track. The last song, also pretty strong. So they managed to bookend it. And in the middle of it, the flesh-ripping Sonic Torment song, like a nod to their old demo, it's this huge, lumbering, almost 10-minute song, and there's very little continuity in it. It's just riff after riff, and just when you think it's over, it's not. It's fun, but it's a slog, and that's kind of the overall theme of the record. It's fun, but it's a slog. It's about 50 minutes. All of the songs are essentially interchangeable except for the bad ones, like that song that they leaked, the Dance of Ixtab, that lumbering, like, endless song. That one is memorable because they rarely deviate from that theme, that kind of lurching theme. But the other songs on the record, they just bounce around so much, where there are identifying riffs, but all this stuff that ties it in together, there's nothing to grab onto, and there's nothing that designates this as the vibe that is akin to just this song only. It just feels like the overall vibe of Swan Song with more guitar theatrics, more harmonies going on, a better production. The production is probably the best part of the record because it doesn't sound like a modern metal record. It sounds like it could have come out in the early 2000s. It's still like super crisp and pristine, but it doesn't sound brick-walled. It sounds like actual instruments being played. The gain on the guitars isn't at 11. It sounds intimate, and that works. It sounds like an old band playing through old gear, being recorded by old gear, which is cool. Now that every record sounds the same, it's nice to hear something like this. That being said, the toothless nature of this record makes it hard to want to give repeated listens to, because that overarching parody just kind of eats away at the idea that this record took, 7-8 years to come out, and it doesn't have that sense of importance to it, as if you're waiting this long to get this material out there. It doesn't hit you like that. The first track kind of does. The first track has a lot of like frenzied momentum to it, and it's a fun listen. But then it's pretty downhill until you get to the end. And we could talk about the artwork. I think the artwork, I've settled into the idea that it doesn't bother me anymore. I do like the cleanliness of it, and it's pretty silly, but at the same time, it is a perfect representation of what the band is now. It's something that, if you just were to glance at it, it resembles something visceral and vital. But upon further inspection, it's a pile of vegetables on life support. And a wise man once said, you don't win friends with salad. And this record is salad as opposed to their other material. So, and it's salad in more ways than one. It's riff salad, and it's, totally benign, toothless material. So that's about all I have to say about it. It's not a record worth condemnation because the riffs are inspired and it works on a meta level, but it's not a timeless record. It's not something that people are going to be reaching for in a couple years. It's just Carcass remaining the Carcass they had established themselves as in 1996. And now it's 2021. So you either take it or leave it. So thank you for listening.